We went to the freaking moon. Here's some proof that we went. I want to put to bed all these silly conspiracies. All of the arguments against the moon missions are piss poor at best, in my opinion. All of the arguments against the missions fall into these following categories: lack of knowledge of the political atmosphere of the time and the years after, poor understanding of science and technology capabilities, poor understanding of photographic and video principles, why technology changes, why we don't use some old technology, the shape of the Earth, and the Van Allen belts. The political atmosphere of the 1950s and the 1960s was complex. We had just come out of a world war, and things seemed pretty good for a while until the USSR launched Sputnik. This was a massive scare thing to the American people. This kickstarted the space program, and it was a game of one-upmanship between the USSR and the United States. The threat of nuclear war is what drove this change. The years after brought changes in political parties and priorities. The Apollo program was expensive. There was a war in Vietnam that we had to attend to. Not only this, but there was money to be made in low Earth orbit. And this is why we developed the space shuttle. And we stopped using the Saturn V rocket that took us to the moon. Now let's talk about the Van Allen belts. This we can debunk easily. Back then we used analog technology, which means it was mainly mechanical. It was not nearly as sensitive as the digital type technology we use today. Flight path we took was the safest path through the belt. The radiation shielding was more than adequate. The belts are not nearly as deadly as they are made out to be. The astronauts went through them in a matter of hours. Moon landing deniers seem to not understand photographic and video limitations of the time. Technology was archaic in those days. We did not have Photoshop or CGI in the 60s and 70s. The cameras do not work the way moon landing deniers claim they do, and they don't understand shadows and terrain. It would be like saying that AI should exist back in 1990 or something like that. It's just silly. Let's take a look at the shadow arguments, for instance. Look at these textures, topographies. Shadows do not give an accurate representation of where the sun is, what angles we should see, all that other sort of thing. So, take these arguments and put them you know where. Sorry, but shadow comparison is not a valid argument. Technology changes all the time. Many products go by the wayside. Do we use any of these? Telegraph, Walkman, old turntables, 8mm cameras, VHS, and other type of media. These are all examples of how things change. Don't be silly. Look at the Concorde, for example. This was developed in the 1960s. We had commercial supersonic air travel from then all the way up until 2003. Does this mean that we never had supersonic air flight? No, it doesn't. To deny the moon landings would be like denying that we had this technology. The costs for running supersonic air vehicles like the Concorde just did not justify us using it. Oh, but NASA says we launched the technology. No, we didn't. Did we lose the Model T Ford? I mean, come on, think about it. Engineering specs are public record. Building technology has changed since then, as has the launching and support infrastructure. Sorry, but we went to the moon. Now let's talk about the shape of the Earth. In my opinion, people believe in things because they want to. People like to attach onto conspiracy theories just because they sound good. Yes, the government does lie to us, but what's the motivation for them to lie to us about the shape of the Earth? Moon landing deniers and flat earthers have no concept of scale. We are tiny, insignificant beings. The shape of the earth is massive. You wouldn't be able to see the curvature of the earth because of how small we are. Eratosthenes did a famous experiment where he proved that the earth was round. Take a look at this graphic. It shows that experiment. Evidence for a globe earth and something that we hardly talk about is this right here. The view from the southern hemisphere and northern hemisphere of the moon is different. The only reason that this would work would be on a globe. Seriously, just look at this. Science is important. We need science to progress our understanding of the world and to improve life for all of us that live on it. Why the hell do I care? I care because science denial is dangerous. If we deny science, we deny progress. The Apollo moon missions are one of the most important and significant events of all of mankind. And the missions to the moon jump-started technological innovation. And we would not have a lot of the technology that we see nowadays if this didn't happen. Well, that's all I got to say about this subject for now. Thank you for watching. Consider subscribing. Please like.